I'd like to start out with a meditation. So if you're in a place where it's safe for you to do so, go ahead and close your eyes and take a few slow, deep, relaxing breaths in through your nose and out through your mouth. With every breath, feel peace flowing through your body and mind. With every exhale, letting go of anything that you do not want. And we picture ourselves now on top of a beautiful mountain in the center of a circular grove of trees. And in the center of this circle, a beautiful bonfire blazes forth, lighting us and the grove up with a sacred golden light. We recognize that this is the light of perfect love and perfect trust, and it easily burns away everything that is unlike itself. Into this sacred space, we call upon the power of our Divine Father and Mother. We call upon their presence and also the presence of all of our angels, teachers, and guides. We ask that we be led as we walk upon the way to become happier, more healthy, more successful, more prosperous, more loving, and more peaceful people. Thank you very, very much. Blessed be. Today, I'd like to talk about the magnetic power of release. If you're trying to get your needs met through invisible means, what you're trying to do is to create a mental infrastructure, an astral equivalent to what you want, whether that be a car, whether that be a job, whether that be a relationship, whether that be the solving of a problem, whatever it happens to be. Basically, with magic, what we try to do is we try to work in such a way, usually through ritual, to instill in our deep minds the equivalent astrally of that which we desire. And then as a result of establishing that astral double, what we desire shows up in some form or another on the physical plane. One of the problems, though, is that oftentimes there's either a lag time or a disconnect between when we are building our astral double through things like visualization, like I said, or ritual, and the manifestation in the physical plane. And sometimes this has to do with the fact that our magnetism is not working. If you think about yourself as being like a magnet, and the magnet doesn't really have anything to do. All it has to do is be magnetic, and it draws unto itself that which it's magnetic toward. So like, for instance, if you had an actual magnet and you ran it through some sand, there would be a very specific pattern, and these iron particles would be drawn onto the magnetic in a perfect pattern with no effort. And that's usually the final step in your spellcasting process, is being magnetic to the forms that you desire. And a lot of the reason why our magnetism is cut off is because we don't practice release. We don't practice release. For instance, let's say you're working on maybe a spell for a job, and you feel that need is rather desperate. Well, the desperation in and of itself is cutting off your magnetism, because usually what you'll notice when you have any kind of desperation is that you're worried, you're concerned, you're hanging on. You're hanging on to the idea of like, oh my God, I got to solve this problem. Oh my God, I got to solve this problem. And then you're just throwing magic out there at it. And we don't understand that it's like flipping the poles. You know how sometimes if you have two magnets and you flip the poles, they repel one another rather than magnetize themselves to one another? That's what we're doing when we have those kinds of worries. And so when you can practice release after you have finished the casting of your spell, if you can release it into the hands of a higher power, that's usually a good way of doing it. Somehow or another, finding one way to let go, just let go and trust that it is happening in the perfect way. And when you find that peace, that inner calm, that inner certainty, that inner knowing that all is working out well in whatever this situation is, and you can release it, then you flip those poles back again, and you're back to being magnetic to your desire. And you're the most magnetic when you're not thinking about it anymore at all. at all. Joseph Murphy used to say that it's like toast popping out of a toaster. You forget that it's even there and like, oh, that's right, I had toast in there. And that's very similar to what happens with our spells. When we can release our hold on those spells and we can just pretty much forget about them, that's when the manifestations oftentimes happen very, very quickly. Let's say that you are involved with something that maybe your loved one is in great need or trouble. Maybe they're very sick, or maybe they're in trouble with the law, or they're having some kind of financial difficulty. And you're really worried about them and you're really concerned about them. What you don't understand is that your worry and concern, if you're not learning how to use your mind appropriately, your worry and concern is not helping them. It's actually hindering their success to have a resolution. Of course, you're worried and you're concerned because you love them so much, but that your love for them is not enough. You have to learn how to discipline your mind. And so even though we don't recommend working magic on other people's behalf, you can still release them. You can still release them to have the perfect solution according to their highest good. And it's ultimately going to be up to them whether or not they are willing to put themselves in a place where they can have this resolution or not. But your concern, your worry for them is actually not helping. You will do so much more for them if you see them as being happy and free and healthy and prosperous and joyous, right? Even in the midst of, especially in the midst of their problem. So releasing them, you can just say, I release you into the arms of infinite intelligence and allow all good to manifest in perfect ways for you now. I release you into the arms of infinite intelligence and allow all good to manifest in perfect ways for you now. And even do it a third time. I release you into the arms of infinite intelligence and allow all good to manifest in perfect ways for you now. Let's say that you have something that's going on in your life that is just plaguing you. Let's say that you have maybe a relationship with somebody, maybe a business associate that's really, really causing you consternation. You're worried that there might even be a lawsuit, or maybe there is a lawsuit going on. And you're just so worried about it, and you're thinking, how am I going to get through this? What am I going to do? And you just start, maybe throwing magic at the wall, like we do. Run to your altar and just burn some candles, do something. And even if you're doing a very disciplined working, if you can't get rid of that hanging on to the worry, if you can't release it, there is no way, there's no place for that manifestation to come into existence for you if you're worried about it, if you haven't released it. So usually that's the part that people don't do, is that part of release. So let's say you've done all of your righteous work, you've done all of your magic, you've done the best spell that you know how to do. You got to then release it. If you don't release it, it's all for naught. You have no magnetism left. There's no magnetic infrastructure available to you. In fact, you've flipped the poles. And so instead of pulling in your solutions, you're repelling them through your worry, through your horror, through your fears. What you need to do is just state it. I release this situation into the loving arms of infinite intelligence and allow all good to manifest in perfect ways for me now. I release this situation into the loving arms of infinite intelligence and allow all good to manifest in perfect ways for me now. I release this situation into the loving arms of infinite intelligence and allow all good to manifest in perfect ways for me now. And it's not so much that these are magic words. You don't want to get superstitious with the words, but what does that mean for you? Finding that release, that's what's important, is feeling the release, feeling like you're unhooking yourself from the problem and you're allowing the spell to work. You're letting it breathe. You're giving it permission to go out and do what it needs to do and do your best to forget about it. And when you do think about it, if you have that pull, you say your little incantation again. I release this situation into the loving arms of infinite intelligence and allow all good to manifest in perfect ways for me now. Remind yourself constantly. You can even use it as a little chant or affirmation. Release is magnetic. In fact, you could say that out loud right now if you're in a place where it's not going to cause you any embarrassment. Just say that. Release is magnetic. Say it again. Release is magnetic. Let's try a third one. Release is magnetic. Okay, so now think about something in your life, even if you haven't worked magic on it. Think about something in your life that's a problem, that's worrying you, that's concerning you. Just one. Let's just do one. I want you to really think about it and notice where in your body you feel that fear or you feel that worry. Maybe it's in the pit of your stomach. Maybe it's in your heart. Maybe you've got it in the back of your neck, wherever. Maybe it's in all of those places. But wherever you feel it the most, just see where the center of gravity in your body is for this problem. And recognize that this is actually repelling your solutions. This center of gravity that you're feeling discomfort right now is repelling the solutions actively. And so you just want to make a real clear choice that you want to flip the poles so that you want those solutions to come in rather than being repelled. And so you're going to just say, I release this situation. And if you can do it out loud, repeat after me and mean it. I release this situation into the loving arms of infinite intelligence. And I allow all good to manifest in perfect ways for me now. You can just write that out on a little Post-it note. I release this situation into the loving arms of infinite intelligence and allow all good to manifest in perfect ways for me now. And just keep coming back to a central thought again and again and again until you are capable of letting it go and releasing and not thinking about it. And if you think about it again, go right back to your incantation. You can be just as obsessive with the solution as the problem is trying to be obsessive with you. If you're worried and you feel like, oh, I just cannot stop thinking about this. I just can't stop thinking about how worried I am. I know that this is repelling the solution, but I can't stop to worry about it. Just come back to it. Come back to your other thought. Have a single thought that you are going to say again and again and again. And if you don't like this, find another thought. I release this situation into the loving arms of infinite intelligence and I allow all good to manifest in perfect ways for me now. And you just keep coming back to it again and again and again. And then when you can, turn off the thought of this thing in your mind completely and know that it is working out. Feel like you are letting go of it. Feel like you can let go and that there's an intelligence that's actually smarter than you. Go figure that there's something smarter than you that's already got this handled if you could just let go of it. Giving your permission to letting that higher power, that higher self, that angelic figure, whatever the conception of this thing is, this higher power is for you, to actually solve the problem for you. You may think that it's not solvable. You may think that there are things that are not solvable and that you're just destined to be, in fear and upset all the time. But that's not the case. There is no such thing as an unsolvable problem. But you don't have the intelligence to solve it. Just like you don't have the intelligence to grow a flower out of nothing. You can't just create a flower. You can grow one out of a seed, but you can't create that seed, right? You can't create a new body. You can't create a baby out of nothing. You have to actually go through the procreative process. You can't create a sun. You can't create a solar system. You can't create a galaxy. You can't make a cloud. You can't create grains of sand, right? So why is it so hard to believe that you don't know how to solve a problem, right? So, and the idea that you think that you're supposed to is something that this world has done to you, has given you this weird idea that you're supposed to know how to solve these problems all for yourself. But how are you supposed to know how to do that if you're not? You're just as as an ego, you're nothing. You just really, as an ego, you don't have any power, right? But as a soul, you have access to all power. As an ego, you're not that smart, but as a soul, you're connected to infinite intelligence. So it's not that there's something wrong with you, that you can't solve the problem. It's just that you're trying to solve a problem using a part of the mind that can't solve problems. All it can do is create them. So if you can release your problem to the part of the universal mind that has already solved it, because there is no problem that hasn't already been solved on some other plane. If you can let go of it and allow the solutions to manifest for you and through you, rather than thinking that it has to come from you, then you're in a place where things can balance out and be good. And that's the whole idea of let go and let God. It's not just a silly catchphrase to make you feel better through the day. It's an actual magical phrase that shows you that there is a way out of any situation, no matter what it is. No matter what it is. Now, it may not resolve in the way that you think it should. It may not resolve in the forms that you think it should, but it will resolve, and usually in ways that are so much better than anything you could have come up with. It's almost like a whole, there's like a whole new universe that you didn't even know existed that can manifest if you keep your mind open. And the way to keep your mind open is release the problem. Remind yourself frequently that release is magnetic. Release is magnetic. And when we are having problems, usually we're hanging on to them. Usually, we're not calling on a higher power. Usually, we're not letting go of the problem and knowing that it's being taken care of for us. A lot of people have this misunderstanding that magic means I have to figure it all out. I have to know all of the ins and outs of every little detail so that my visualization is very specific. That's not true. Your job is having a general idea of the outcome that you want. Just a real basic general one, very specifically about the problem, right? But the general idea of how you want it to resolve. For instance, let's say there was that lawsuit. Generally, you would like for the lawsuit to be dropped and for everybody to win, for everybody to resolve this thing in a way that all parties are happy, all parties are well taken care of. You don't know how to do that, but that's what you want. So you give that goal your effort, that goal, the end goal, not the ways and means, the end goal, and then you release it. So you do your magic on that end goal, that essence of your desire, and then you release it. I release this situation into the loving arms of infinite intelligence and allow all good to manifest in perfect ways for me now. You let go of it, and by the time it manifests, stuff could happen, and very often happens, that you would have no way of doing on your own. Things, people, situations, judges, lawyers that you didn't know existed, laws that you didn't know existed, all kinds of weird little things that can come into play where everything just works out just fine. Where everything works out beautifully, more than just fine. Everything works out beautifully. Right? So that's the essence of magic, is for everything to work out beautifully. Your job isn't to figure it out and to solve the problem. Your job is to have a general idea of what you would like instead of the problem. Call on that higher power, visualize, do all of your righteous work for that, and then release it. Let go and let magic happen. Let go and let magic happen. All right. Well, thank you so much for spending a little time with me today. I so appreciate you. And I will talk to you soon. Until next time, much love and many, many blessings.